So thank you for joining. I guess I'm the only person here between you and happy hour, so we'll try and get through this quickly. Happy to go through our Hewlett Packard overall open infrastructure directions, and we'll talk through some products that we've announced last year and how we've evolved our open infrastructure strategy. We'll talk about our Cloud Line and Alto Line set of open infrastructure platforms that we've got. We'll make sure you're aware of our entire portfolio of OCP offerings that we have available. We'll talk through our different overall strategy and approach that we're using for service providers overall. You know, a year ago, Hewlett Packard was here and we announced a new strategy in terms of how we're approaching the overall service provider market. We announced what we called our open infrastructure strategy, and it was a strategy that complements our enterprise converged infrastructure strategy that has been in place for many, many years. And we look at this as a directional move where converged infrastructure is there for enterprise and a lot of traditional IT on how it runs and operates. We know the world of IT for businesses runs at a very slow pace. It needs to be managed in that fashion. But the world of service providers and cloud is very different. The pace that they run at, the solutions that they're deploying, the services that they're putting in place, and the scale that they're operating are all very different and unique. And that's the reason why we came up with this new open infrastructure approach overall. Now, this strategy not only talks about the infrastructure pieces, which is that bottom row here, it talks about how we plug in at the platform level with the different offerings of things like OpenStack Cloud Foundry and value-added pieces on top of it like Helion, but also talks about a lot of cloud native apps and how we'll be evolving with those applications too down the road. Now, this kind of a strategy really requires interaction and interoperability and creating standards with many other groups, and it also is a case where you have to optimize your supply chain and how you're working to manage these costs overall. So not only have we talked about the products and platforms, it's about the partnerships and the different standards bodies that we're working in. So this is where you see all of these pieces coming together to deliver the portfolio that we have today that we, within 1 year we've announced 10 platforms, 6 servers and 4 networking offerings, all focused on this overall open infrastructure direction for us. Now, on the compute side, our lead platform is really the Cloud Line compute set of offerings. Again, a platform family that we announced last year, a brand new server brand for us in terms of those offerings. You know, we've had leadership in the ProLiant server area for decades in terms of its leadership, and other platforms like Superdome for even longer. Each of these all come together to provide, on the Cloud Line side, a new and different set of capabilities that we're delivering to the marketplace. So we're specifically creating systems that are going to operate at a larger scale. You know, this is tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of servers that are out there and deployed. We need to make sure that they can operate and run at scale. We need to make sure that as people are creating these data centers that are always run with multiple vendors, that we're running in an open design fashion so that my commodities can be used across multiple vendors, my firmware can be used across multiple vendors, my services that I have available can be used across multiple vendors. Each of these pieces are being put in place and supported on Cloud Line with Hewlett Packard in terms of this offering we've got. And lastly, when you're multiplying your investment by the number of platforms, the cost of everything you do matters in a big way. So these are very cost-focused platforms in the types of commodities they support, the types of designs that they are, and the supply chain that we manage in terms of delivering those systems. It's also one of the reasons why we've created a partnership with Foxconn to make sure we're optimizing our overall supply chain delivery of these platforms on a global basis. Now, we have 3 different families that we have within Cloud Line. The third of those was just announced yesterday. We announced the overall strategy of these of having rack products, multi-node, and rack scale last year. The rack products were put in place in the June, July timeframe of last year as scheduled. We moved on to have the rack scale offerings with both an open rack variant and an open cloud server variant in the fall with the Cloudline 7100 and 7300 platforms. And then we're happy to announce our Cloudline CL5200 cloud storage server in that multi-node category where we have 2 nodes and up to 80 drives connected in a single 4U space. Amazingly capable system that we can create leveraging a lot of the open standards that are out here. All of these systems support OCP mezzanine cards. The motherboard that's used on the CL7100, it's a leveraged version of that motherboard that's used in the CL5200. There's some variances in the power connections and back in order to fit in a 19-inch rack and connect in. Aside from that, it's an OCP leveraged motherboard design. So clearly cases where we're using that, I want to say inspiration of OCP to look at how we deliver and these products are out and operating for these customers. So when we look at our overall portfolio, aside from that, we've got infrastructure products, and you can see all of these at our booth, by the way. We've got a full line of infrastructure products that'll be, connecting up OCP racks. We've got the 2 compute variants that we talked about earlier. We have a set of Knox-like storage drawers available within our portfolio. And we've got multiple open switching options available. Everything from 1 gig to 100 gig offerings available within the line. All of them running open networking variants and offerings overall. So clearly a case where we're using these open principles that we talked about to deliver a full portfolio of offerings that fit within a full open infrastructure portfolio. Quick look at the specs of that Cloudline CL5200. Again, it fits in a 1.2 meter deep rack, only 4U high. 80 drives in terms of the way the drive drawers operate independently. You can have up to 2 servers connected in those, or you can have 1 server connected to all 80 drives for different configuration flexibility. This is really feedback that we received from, in particular, our service provider customers who looked at our Apollo 4000 series products, especially our Apollo 4500, and were very happy with its capabilities, but wanted us to go with a denser, lower dollars per gigabyte, and then open platform to meet the needs of these cloud service providers. So we've announced this is available more broadly. This has been shipping for a while to a very small number of cloud providers out in the industry. So we're happy to make this available to a lot more folks overall. Again, uses OCP mezzanine cards and leveraged motherboard, and you can see those details at our booth right around the corner. All right, it's not really all about the infrastructure and the products. We're also making sure that we're putting the right solutions on top of those. Specific for this CL5200, we've expanded our partnership that we have with Scality. We first announced that partnership in October of 2014 by reselling their systems. We expanded it earlier this year and agreed to work more closely together. That was all focused on the Apollo platforms in line that I mentioned, and now we're happy to say that this is part of our overall big data portfolio, also has Scality support as well. Now, we couldn't stop, this is leading storage solution in terms of its capabilities, but we also wanted to make sure that, as HP, we were not only doing great open things on standard infrastructure, we wanted to make sure we were doing leading open infrastructure with leading open solutions. So when we look at our overall set of offerings that we've got, the platforms in the entire portfolio for Cloudline, our OpenStack set of offerings and support, and the Helion capabilities that are supported above and beyond that, we have broad certification completed for all these platforms. Yes, we just announced the 5200 yesterday, but we already have the certifications complete for OpenStack and Helion on those platforms. So the 1U and 2U servers are there and done. The 4U cloud storage box is there and done. You can deploy all of these different on-premise and off-premise offerings in terms of not having to put your open software solution on older traditional hardware or industry standard hardware. You can also have that infrastructure running on, that open solution running on open infrastructure. So HP uniquely is out doing a combination of open on open compared to any other vendors that are doing open on industry standard. Great capabilities for HPE overall. Shows our commitment to OCP. We put a lot of time into how we're rolling out our capabilities within OCP. It includes increased participation over the last year. We're doing submissions. We've actually turned in a contribution from an OCP point of view. I know a lot of folks, one of the first questions I would always hear is, we're not going to believe you guys are serious about OCP unless you do a contribution. Well, guess what? We've done a contribution. So that's there. We're here to stay. We're committed to this overall open direction. We look at this as the next wave of computing that we've done for many years. Going back to the original server systems we developed with Proliance and all, through the wave of Blade capabilities and Moonshot platforms and Apollo high-performance computing platforms. This is that next wave of platforms targeted specifically for the needs of these service providers. This is the place where the needs for those folks really comes together within OCP. We're here to stay. We're a solution provider. So not only do we have OCP Gold status, we have OCP solution provider status. So we'll do integration of solutions and deliver those to customers. We've delivered rack scale offerings to customers on 3 continents worldwide. I don't know that any other vendor can say that they've done that. We are broadly commercializing, as I talked about, 10 different platforms that have been announced in the last year around open infrastructure. And we want to vocally be out there supporting the cause here for OCP. And I've gone worldwide doing different presentations for that as well. So very much something we're supporting, committed to the community. It really makes a difference for these customers on what we can deliver, and it's what they want to see in our overall offerings. So this is our sort of next touch point for where we are within the world of OCP. A very, very visible announcement last year. Real tangible things delivered in this period now in terms of offerings, and that will continue to go ahead and march forward with where we are on all the other cool things that are taking place, whether it's telco, whether it's new types of computing, new networking pieces. We're very, very involved in a lot of the networking portions again overall. So thank you for your time, and I guess it's happy hour time, so thank you.